Welcome to the bold analysis. Jubaland forces are reported to be training in Kenya. And in a video, statement, according to a statement from Mandera governor, they have set up camps along the Kenya border, but allegedly they have pushed out closed schools, killed locals, and reigned terror in the county of Mandera. I know for quite some time now, this has been a conversation in this country. And to the surprise of Kenyans, the administration back in Nairobi is unusually silent about what looks exactly as a threat in the territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. The Commander-in-Chief of Defense Forces, President William Ruto, has gone quiet, even as this emerges as a big security concern for the country. What exactly has caused this? And for the first time, I want us to look into the silence of Nairobi team, demonstrating the different conversations that the discourse that has emerged over the Jubaland invasion of the county, in the county of Mandera. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. And thank you very much for supporting this podcast. We do this each and every day because of your support. And we don't take your support for granted. Subscribe. Subscription is absolutely free. The advantage here is when you subscribe to a channel, you'll be getting notifications in time whenever we publish our videos. So you'll not complain that nowadays you don't receive the videos. The Jubaland forces in Mandera are reported to be training to fight Al-Shabaab. But what we seem not to understand as a country is why we have taken this matter casual, while schools have closed, locals have been killed, hospitals have been raided, and the county of Mandera is in great fear. And this is the sound of the governor.
We want to call upon His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of all the armed forces. Mandera cannot be turned into a battleground for Somalia. We have no interest in Somalia. The only interest we have in Somalia is peace. If they cannot peace and fight, then we have no business to involve in their internal affairs. They have opened a camp in BP1. BP1 primary school is now closed. And there are people who want to do exam in the next 1 month. How do you close a public school and turn it into a military training camp? It is impossible. So tunawaeleza immediate relocation of Jubaland force out of Mandera. Immediate. I want to tell them, if we don't do it, we will do it ourselves. Kama unataka unatusaidia peleka Somali, saidie huko. The Somalis are rough land. You cannot. Huwezi funga mashamba ya wananchi, huwezi funga shule, huwezi funga water supply, huwezi huwa watu wetu ovyo in the name of supporting a faction in Somalia. What interest do you have in Somalia? We don't have any interest. So tunawaeleza CS defense, sujia kwa wapi? I've never heard of that lady since she was appointed. Sujia anafanya kazi gani? KDF must pull out of supporting the Jubaland force. They must relocate Jubaland from Mandera County. Number 2, we want to also ask our Ethiopian neighbor.
I've paid attention to this story and I've not heard the voice of Mandera Senator. I've not heard the voice of Adan Duale. Even the local politicians from northeastern side, who normally pride or will actually put themselves defending President Ruto and defending Kenya, the ones that normally find slightest opportunity to run tribal supremacy politics when attacking Rigathi Gachagua, this is a matter that is touching to the locals. And you will realize it's only Mandera governor who is talking. I've watched some analysis, and some analyst is saying, starting from Mandera, how about it comes to Wajir and all the way to East Marsabit and gets to Nairobi? And of course, I've seen a couple of experts from that side warning that the country cannot afford the comfort that President Ruto is putting over this matter.
Jubaland forces in Mandera County. Gachagua spoke boldly about the presence of Jubaland militia forces inside Mandera County, which is part of Kenya. Jubaland, for those of you who don't know, is one of the 7 administrative states in the federal government of Somalia. But now Jubaland shares a very long border with Kenya, and we have a history with Jubaland because if you are familiar, in 2011, there was this operation called Operation Linda Inchi, where Kenya have invaded Somalia illegally, and now it is payback time, it is karma. The same Jubaland forces are now infiltrating Kenya, harassing Kenyans in Mandera. They will soon cross to Wajir. Then they will next come to Garissa, and then they will come to Kitui, and then they will come to Kiambu. Hivyo tu mpaka wafike Nairobi.
We cannot afford the comfort. And something is simply not adding up on why the Nairobi is silent. According to a UN convention, security is added as the 4th basic need. After the 3, food, shelter, and clothes, security is the 4th basic need. So at this point, we cannot afford to gamble with security. And I've realized in this country, we have the tendency of gambling with very serious things. Dwell is gambling with health, that side. The president and even the interior and the defense CS Toya is also gambling with the territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. I listened to this question from Dennis Okari.
This, Mohammed, I mean, you've been to Somalia so many times. There's a period, I think I even reached out to you when covering the story of Al-Shabaab in Somalia. Mm-hmm. And I've been to Jubaland a few times. Mm-hmm. And I've flown to the northern part of Somalia. Mm-hmm. The thing that I find interesting is, because in your last statement you said it's going to be elusive. The central government, because Jubaland is an autonomous federal member of Somalia. The thing is, the central government and Jubaland, from the word go, there's never been any agreement on anything. As a matter of fact, how Madobe then is looked at is he's an ally to Kenya. There is the security question. When KDF was now part of AMISOM in Jubaland, what I observed was, and I asked a lot of people around, how long do you think you're going to stay here? And nobody had an answer. How long? And how long? The reason I asked the question is, what I found interesting, it was almost creating a new outfit where you had even the Kenya police inside Jubaland, training the police in there, and they were embedded, the military doing the same thing. And this was to then, at some point, once the units have numbers, then they're able to either protect themselves, man installations, infrastructure, all by themselves. But that doesn't seem to be happening. When you cross now to Kenya, what maybe you can paint the picture for us, because a lot of people who've never been to that part of the country don't understand. When we talk about a border, how does it even look like?
It's porous.
It's porous. There's an assumption that either there's a fence or a wall, but it's no man's land. You can't even tell whether you're inside Somalia or you are actually inside Kenya. How dangerous is it? How porous is it? To the extent that now we can have a conversation that there is a training going on in the Kenyan part of this conversation, and not a lot of people are aware how that border looks like or what goes on there.
About Jubaland, and of course, some of us have never gone to that area. We don't even know how that border looks like. But Dennis Onkari painted a picture that is enough to worry, but will show you why the Mandera governor is worried, and Kenya cannot afford to be silent about this matter. The complexities of Jubaland and the central government of Somalia, and the relationship between Kenya and the two governments. So from this, you can make your own assessment. Can we really afford the silence? Can we really afford the comfort that we are putting on this matter? The border, what looks like a border, like akuna fence, akuna, as in there's nothing erected to show that this is the border separating this Mandera side and probably the Somali side. It is such a critical, it's a very dangerous situation that I agree we cannot afford to assume at this time. The question has been clear. Someone was asking, what do you expect? I've seen that question of what did you expect? Look here. Such a sensitive matter, if the Jubaland forces are in Kenya and they are embedded by Kenyan forces there, and the country, the Nairobi team, the state house has sanctioned that, then what does it take for probably government spokesperson or state house spokesperson or president himself to give a communique over the matter? We have a president that is normally his chief, the person that addresses himself on almost everything. And we least expected silence from him, and that silence is more loud than what the governor is saying the other end.
Finally, tumeona ya kwamba nchi yetu imevamiwa by troops from foreign countries. Pale Mandera, maaskari ya Jubaland wameingia Mandera. They have occupied more than half of the town. Waliua watu 5, 7 people have been injured, and many people have been displaced, including schools. The leadership of Mandera was there over last weekend. Instead of castigating the invasion of Kenya by foreign forces, they were castigating Rigiji. Juzi nimeita TV nikasema askari wako pale ya nchi jirani. Sasa ndio nimeona governor wa Mandera ameamuka analia ati asaidiwe. Yet last weekend and over there he was not speaking. The senator was not speaking. The MP was not speaking. Mimi nimechukua jukumu kutetea watu ya Mandera, kutetea watu ya northeastern Kenya. It is unacceptable that foreign forces can invade Kenya. And the mandate of the Kenya Defense Forces is to protect our territorial integrity. And it cannot be that foreign forces are in our land and the government is quiet, the commander-in-chief is quiet. We are asking the commander-in-chief of the Kenya Defense Forces to immediately order an operation to flush out foreign troops out of our land. This is our country. We have a responsibility to protect our territorial integrity, and it cannot.
Why is Nairobi silent over the matter? Why are they not clarifying if the governor is lying? If so and so, if Rigathi Gachagua is not saying the right thing, then why don't they set the record straight? Wajir South Member of Parliament Mohammed Odour seemed to have a different perspective about the Jubaland. But this already, I looked at his response over the matter, and he says it actually shows that it's a very complex situation that really Nairobi must look into.
And I've been following the story there, is that the forces who are in Kenya ran there for their own lives. They were forcefully ejected by an opposing group that took control of the border town, the town on the other side of the border, Beledhawa. And the ones currently in Kenya are the forces of Jubaland, loyal to the Jubaland administration in Kismayo, which, as you know, is allied to Kenya.
Yep.
So if they are training or preparing to wage an onslaught on the people who took the town from them in a bid to recover it from them. But I don't think this is just, a conventional training sanctioned by the Kenyan government, which is taking place there. And it shouldn't be taking place in residential areas and in schools and public areas. I would say this is just an unraveling of that thought that we were going to put a buffer zone inside Somalia to try and take...
To ward off Al-Shabaab?
To try and take the war as far away as possible from Garissa, Wajir and Mandera.
Rigathi Gachagua painted a picture of territorial integrity. It is true, you give him the credit. He once said, William Ruto struck a deal with some Al-Shabaab. He said it while he was in the coast, struck a deal with Al-Shabaab. And before that, just later, Jubaland forces are now in the Kenyan soil, training to fight the same Al-Shabaab. And are we getting ourselves into a conflict that its spillover effect would actually compromise the security of country Kenya? Yes. And let me tell you, there are so many other stakeholders to respond on this. Even Parliament. There is a committee on defense, foreign affairs. Yes. There's the National Security Advisory Council. There is the Ministry of Defense that are supposed to respond to the public on this matter. People have lost lives. People have been killed in this. Schools are getting closed and the exams are just around the corner. Not even the Ministry of Education has responded or refuted those claims. Why are we gambling with the lives of innocent children in the country? And like someone asked, what is our interest over the matter? Because it looks like we're shielding it. And clearly, probably that this which the authorities in Nairobi know, that either they don't want to tell the public or they're just watching how it will play out in the long run. But I dare ask, at what cost? The question I've asked, some 4 questions that I think we need to seek answers for. Schools have closed. The Jubaland forces in that area, there is also attracting another conversation about the presence of the Ethiopian forces there. They're fighting the Jubaland forces are fighting, are training, allegedly training there, so that they can consolidate and fight Al-Shabaab. And it is in the interest of Kenya for Al-Shabaab to be neutralized. And our forces are also in Somalia. So what is the deal? Are they amalgamated? Is there an amalgamation between the Kenya police or the military forces with the Jubaland to fight the Al-Shabaab? And what exactly is the deal involved in it? And is the deal illicit? Is it a transaction that cannot be said in public? If yes, if no, don't you think the Kenyan people needs to be told this and this and this decision has been made in the interest of this and this in the Republic of Kenya? What is the deal between President Ruto and the Jubaland forces? Because they seem to be protecting them. Number two, the borders are porous. The Jubaland forces coming over that side to Kenya, does it have the potential of creating safe ground for vote imports from Somalia? Can they import votes on this side? Now that the borders are porous, and this would make them more porous, is that going to be a ground for more votes to come this side? And that is why I still ask why the northeastern leaders, who normally are very vocal about everything, is silent about the Jubaland issue. And lastly, the perception coming out is William Ruto is aiding an international conflict, cross-border conflict. What will be the Kenyan gain in this? What is the Kenyan gain in aiding what exactly looked like this conflict? Thank you.